Hi, I'm Mike Ignatowski, the creator of the PurpleWolf Basketball Spreadsheet, the spreadsheet that aims to help you get more enjoyment out of your tabletop basketball projects by doing a lot of the work, if not all the work, of tracking your team and players' game stats and season stats, as well as team standings and schedules. By doing that, you'll get more time to play your games, have more fun, and maybe take on projects that you wouldn't otherwise take on. In this video, I'm going to talk about how the PurpleWolf basketball spreadsheet can be used in a multi-user situation. And the most common way this is used is to handle what are referred to as co-op projects. So let's see how PurpleWolf can help with these co-op projects. So when it comes to co-op projects in PurpleWolf, I guess first we should start with why would you want to even consider managing or taking on a co-op project? And I think the most common reason is that because the project involves more games that you either want to play or have time to complete. And I would say another positive about why you might want to start a co-op project is it is a good way to meet and interact with other gamers in a shared they're taking part in a shared goal and experience that share a common interest that you do. So as far as what it takes to get a co-op project going, you really just need two people. One, the person who's going to be considered the manager or coordinator of the project, but throughout this video, I'll refer to this person as the manager. And then you'll need at least one other person that is interested in playing some of the games, and I'll refer to this person or others like them as gamers or co-op project gamers. Why would you want to use PurpleWolf for a co-op project? And these are my three main reasons. First and foremost, that there's no manual stat entry required. If everybody's using PurpleWolf, then nobody has to manually enter any stats. That doesn't mean as a manager you could allow people to use something else and send you a spreadsheet or a piece of paper or something that you would then use PurpleWolf's manual entry mode to enter those stats. That's still possible, but it's not required. The second thing here is it easily, because there's no manual stat entry, you can take advantage of PurpleWolf's stats, and it tracks a lot of stats. You don't just have to focus on the points, rebounds, and assists, but you can get all the other stats that the PurpleWolf spreadsheet can track. And it's also, I think, a convenient and excellent way to capture your game stats if you want to either capture them interactively using the event logger, or if you want to have people play their games and then enter the stats after the fact using the manual entry mode. But either way, PurpleWolf offers a great option to do that. So here I made this slide to go through the steps that are involved in many of these steps are general steps for co-op projects, but there's a couple that mention or specific to PurpleWolf. So I just want to go through these steps. So step number one is you need to have a league manager that will establish the group of gamers that are going to participate in the project. And this manager will create the PurpleWolf League in a PurpleWolf spreadsheet. Number two, then the manager would coordinate with the gamers to establish which scheduled games will be played by which gamers. And there's a lot of other logistics involved in there, like the timing of the things and how you choose the games and all that. But this video isn't about that. Those are separate things. But I will mention here in bold where it talks about custom leagues, because first of all, if you have a project that's dealing with a historical league, like a historical league season, like the 1962 NBA season, or a historical team season, like the 1999 Detroit Pistons season. In PurpleWolf, those historical leagues, the schedule is built for you. So you don't have to mess around with that. You already know all the games. It's just a matter of then assigning them to the users and how you want to do that. But if you have a custom league, then this step may require the manager to enter the games that are going to be played, because you can enter custom league scheduled games as your league progresses. You don't have to have all the games entered at the beginning. So this step number 2 could require the manager to add games to the league schedule as this project progresses. Number 3, so after everybody gets their assigned games, each gamer will get a copy of the manager's PurpleWolf spreadsheet. So everybody's starting with the same exact file. Then number 4, each league member, which could be the manager and the gamers, will then play his or her scheduled games. Again, the timing and how that works is all up to the manager. But they play their games within PurpleWolf, whether it's directly in PurpleWolf or they play it outside and enter the game stats into it after the fact. But either way, they end up in their PurpleWolf spreadsheet. Then number 5, the gamers send a copy of their spreadsheets that contain their completed games to the manager. And I say send a copy kind of loosely, because it's however the gamers want to get the spreadsheet to the manager, whether it's through some shared cloud website or email or whatever. There's lots of ways to coordinate that, but somehow the gamers have to make the spreadsheets with their completed games available to the manager so that the manager can access them all. Then number 6 is then the manager uses the PurpleWolf feature of import game results and stats to import the results from each gamer's spreadsheet. And the manager will do this one spreadsheet at a time, but a spreadsheet could involve importing multiple games at once. And this is really the key to this entire video, is this step number 6, because this is where I think PurpleWolf has a lot to offer co-op projects in how it can aggregate or coalesce or somehow merge all these different people's game results into a common place, meaning the manager's PurpleWolf spreadsheet, so all the stats and results can be kept in one place, and that way everybody else can see the results when it's shared. So after that point, after the manager imports all the results that from all the different gamers that sent the manager their spreadsheet, it's really just a matter of repeating this cycle. So step 7 is really go back to step 2, where you then the manager assigns more games to the gamers play the games, and then the spreadsheets go back to the manager, and the cycle continues until the project completes. So the rest of this video, I'm just going to focus on step number 6 here of the PurpleWolf feature of how to import game results and stats from another spreadsheet. So let's see how that works. So for this demonstration, I have these 2 spreadsheets. There's the Mike spreadsheet and the Rob spreadsheet. Mine is the Mike, and I'm going to be the manager for this co-op project, and Rob is the gamer. And we're going to use his spreadsheet to import the game results from. So let's go to Rob's spreadsheet first. So let me jump over here to Rob's spreadsheet. So this league is the 676-77 NBA playoffs. Actually, this data is brought to us thanks to Joe Brooks, who graciously sent me some score sheets for this project that he did so that I could test some things out. So thanks to Joe. So this is what Rob's spreadsheet looks like. I had sent him my spreadsheet after game 5 of this. So we both started with that. Then he played game number 6. You can see his results. And I played game number 7, which you don't see here because it's not in his spreadsheet. But if we look at a couple things here, I want to look at, well, first of all, you can kind of see here these in the game notes. What Rob entered in here was the Spurs take game 3 and Gale dishes out 12 assists. So those are the game notes he entered. You can see here the Spurs won 115 to 103. And if we look at this, one of the stat sheets down here, the PGL, which is the player game log, I have this filtered to just show game 6. If I show this little filter thing here, you can see it's only showing game 6. So these are the stats that we want to import into the Mike spreadsheet. And when the import process, this is all the data that comes in is from here and from the schedule. This little info here of mainly these notes and the status of this game, whether it went to overtime or whatever, it would get that from here. But if I look at the TGL, the team game log, this has game 6 also, but this data can be generated from the other PGL spreadsheet and the schedule. So there's nothing here that's unique. So this data is not imported in the process. So let's take a look at the Mike spreadsheet, which would be the manager spreadsheet. And so you can see here, I've played game 7. I didn't play game 6 because that's the game Rob played. And we're going to import his results from that game. So let's see how to do that. Okay, so as I already mentioned, you need to have both spreadsheets open. So Rob's spreadsheet is open. We don't see it. You can consider it being in the background, but it needs to be open so that this spreadsheet can find it and find that data in it. So we're here on the schedule. The schedule is locked, and it has to be locked for this import process to work. And right up here, this aquamarine colored button is the import game results. So that's what we're gonna click. We click this, we get a little notification that there's a lot of these in PurpleWolf, but anyway, it says in order for the PurpleWolf spreadsheet to import completed games and stats, the other spreadsheet must be open, that we already talked about, and it must have the same PurpleWolf version, league configuration, and league ID. So that's just to make sure that it's kind of all coming from the same place, that it has the same schedule, the same players, etc. So if we look at and then it says here you can make it's highly suggested you make a backup copy of your PurpleWolf spreadsheet before attempting this process, just in case. It's always a safe thing to do. I'd say it's quite reliable, but it never hurts to make a backup. That would be a backup of your manager copy. You want to continue. Right now I'm going to say no, because I want to show something first. So on my league sheet, first let me jump to get this navigator up here. All right, so let's go over to my schedule. Now I want to jump to my league setup. So here's what it's talking about. Like here's the name of my league. Here's the ID of my league. And over on the score sheet here, you can see this is the version 2.10. So these versions need to jive. So that's an important thing to know, is that when a new version comes out of the PurpleWolf spreadsheet, that the convenience of when the manager upgrades, then everybody will get the upgraded spreadsheet. Okay, so that's kind of double check. You can see on those were my league. 77 post was the ID. If I look at Rob's spreadsheet, on his league, it's the same ID and the same league name. So there's some safety checks in there that you make sure that you're matching up to the right stuff. So again, this is Rob, so I'm going to minimize this and go back to the schedule on the Mike spreadsheet. Oops, I closed my navigator. Here's back, we're at Mike, here's the schedule. So let's click the import button again. And we get this message, and this time we're going to say, yes, I do want to continue. And if you had other spreadsheets open, it would look at those. But you can see here it says, do you want to import games from the JB77 playoffs 210 Rob Excel workbook? And this is the right one, so I'm going to say yes. So when I click yes, then it goes and looks at the schedule on the Rob spreadsheet, and it sees what games are there that are completed that aren't completed here. And so it says 1 games found. It's not such good English, but you get the point. Would you like to import the stats and results for these games? And then it lists the game IDs. If Rob had played multiple games, like maybe he played game 6 and 8, it would list both of them here. So when you do this import process, you can't say, oh, I only want to import one of these two. You have to import all of them or none of them. So here, and it lists the game IDs. So this game ID is 2, colon, then Philly v San Antonio Spurs 3. So it's second round. Sixers at the Spurs, game 3. That is this ID. That's the one that I want. So I'm going to say yes. And then it'll do some Excel data cartwheels. You can see here it didn't take long. It says success. Game ID has been imported. So I'm going to click OK. And another happy message of saying, fantastic, your spreadsheet completed the game import, and it appears to be successful. Please review the league sheets to confirm before continuing your PurpleWolf League, especially the standings and the schedule. The team game stats and all season stats have not been calculated, so feel free to calculate them at your convenience, as well as your league leaders. Enjoy. Okay, so let's look at what happened. Let's first look at the schedule. So here's the schedule. You can see now game 6 is filled in. It's complete. And if I look over here in these notes, these are the notes that were in Rob's spreadsheet with Gale dishing out 12 assists. So this looks good. We didn't look at the standings ahead of time, but now if we look at this, so standings, you'll see the Spurs are 5-2 because they won the first series 2-1. So now they're up 3-1, so they're 5-2. And the Sixers, they're 1-3 because now the 4 games have been played in that series against the Spurs, and the Spurs are 3-1. So the standings look correct. The schedule looks correct. Now let's check the stat sheets. And I'm going to use this navigator again here because I'm trying to use it more. So let's go to the player game log. And as I said, this is the only stat sheet that gets records added to it. So here's the player game log. And let's use these little filters up here to kind of zoom in on what we're interested in. So I'm going to uncheck this. So I want to look at game 6 because that's what should have come in. And if I look here are the stats. And these look like the exact same stats. And here's the assists, and here's the 12 assists that Mike Gale dished out. And if I look over now in the team game log stats, you'll see here, because this is all of them, there is no game 6 here. And the reason is because, as I said, those don't get generated. So what we want to do is compute those. So I'll click this button, and now it'll use those newly imported stats to compute these. And if you were the manager, maybe you need to import games from 2, 3, 4, however many people, you wouldn't do this step until you imported all the games, and then you generate your stats. At least that's what I'd recommend, although you can do it however you want to. So now you can see here it generated the team stats for game 6. You can see the score is 115, 103, etc. That's what the score was. And similarly, now if we go to the season stat sheet, we'll want to compute all these because these haven't been computed. And again, you want to wait till you import all your games before you do this stuff, but we're just doing one game, so I'm going through the steps. So let's say compute all season stats for the players and teams. Let's click that. Some Excel excitement here. Compute league leaders. Not yet. Let's see. So now it computed the season stats for the players and the team, so you can kind of see it shows their records here. And now let's go up here to our navigator and jump to the leaders. You can see here there's nothing here yet, so let's compute the leaders. This is always exciting. It's pretty much anybody's favorite part of stats is the leaders, or most people. I don't want to speak for everybody, but that's the reason why a lot of people love these projects. So while it does its thing, all right, league leaders computed. So let's take a quick look. I can't really spot check all these, but let's, as you may or may not know, the leaders in PurpleWolf are in 3 groups. There's the totals, and that's what these are. Then there's the per game. So if you want to see leaders per game, they're in purple. They have some special requirements to meet the per game qualifications. And then there are the single game. So let's go to the single game because we do know that those 12 assists from Mike Gale are probably in here somewhere. So if we look at the assists per game highs, you see here, Mike Gale's 12 assists are right there. And if we can see those little red triangles, that means you can hover on these. And if we hover on this, it'll tell you the game that it occurred. So this says league game number 6. The Sixers at the Spurs. And that's the game we just imported from Rob's spreadsheet. So that's kind of a way you can kind of complete the process of importing the games, then generating your stats because it doesn't automatically do that. And a way to kind of confirm that everything came over as it should. But you can see it's a pretty painless process. It's quite easy to do, and it takes, I would say it makes the overhead or the burden of managing a co-op project not too bad. If that's all you have to do to bring in the game results from other people, that's pretty easy. So that wraps up how to use the import game results and stats feature in PurpleWolf to basically coordinate and compile game results from other spreadsheets into your league project. And from here you then, again, you save your spreadsheet. That's what I'll do right now. Just save the spreadsheet, and then I would decide who's going to play what games on the schedule here and send this out to Rob, because he's my only other gamer in this project, and we would continue with this project. So hopefully this will give you some ideas and give you some encouragement of how PurpleWolf can make it easier to manage or coordinate a co-op project. That wraps up this PurpleWolf basketball spreadsheet video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to box out.